Shalom Aleichem Shavua Tov. Mishnah Yomi continues in chapter 10, Sanhedrin, Mishnah 4 and 5. Today, Anshe Ir Hanidochot, the people of a city that goes astray, meaning the majority of them engaged in public communal idol worship. Eilem Chelek Le'olam Haba. They've also lost their share in the future world, in the spiritual world. Shnemar Yatsu Anashim B'nei Belial Mikirbecha Vayodichu Et Yoshvei Iram. There's a verse in Devarim chapter 13, verse 14. Lawless men have emerged from within you and led astray the residents of their town. This word Belial means lawless, and it can mean bli ol, they don't go up, or bli ol, they have thrown off the yoke of heaven. Now the Mishnah turns to elaborate the conditions for the Ir Hanidachat, the wayward city. Eina neharagin, we don't behead them for doing their idolatry, unless those who corrupted, those who introduced and convinced others to engage in idolatry were from that city. They have to be local guys. Ume'otu Hashevet, and from the same tribe of that city, v'ad sheyudach ruba, and until they corrupt most of the town, they get most of the town to go along with public idolatry there. V'ad sheyeduchim anoshim, and until it's men who are doing the corrupting, the men are leading this push into idolatry. But to compare, if it was women or children who were trying to introduce idolatry, or only a minority of the population was going astray, or they were outsiders who were coming into town or from a different shevet, then the idolaters are treated as yachid, as individual, and not as a community. And recall from Eluen and Iskolin, the chapter on Skila, individuals doing idolatry get a skila, get a punishment through stoning, whereas the people of the Ir Nidachat get hereg, receive the sword as their execution. And the Mishnah goes on, Tzrichin shnei edim v'hatra l'chol echad ve'echad. And they actually require two valid witnesses and a warning for each and every person in order to qualify as an Ir Nidachat. We might have thought that they hear a rumor that the whole city is going astray and they would just come in and start cutting off heads. That's not what happened. They would come in with courts, with a number of courts of 23 justices, and they would do trials for each and every person in the town accused of idolatry, and then they have to see, after they make the convictions for idolatry based on witness testimony, they have to see if that constitutes a majority. And if that's the majority, they would have to go to the great Sanhedrin of 71. As we learned in the first chapter, only the great Sanhedrin, the 71 Sanhedrin, could declare a city to be Ir Nidachat. Now the Mishnah adds a comparison between individual and group idolatry. Zeh chomer b'yachidim. This is a chumrah, a stringency by individuals. Rubim, from a number of people, a community going astray. Shiachidim beskila, individuals get a skila, lefichach mamonim polet, but therefore their money is saved. Their possessions can be inherited by their children. Hamarubim, if it's a whole community, besayif, they get the sword, which is a less severe form of execution, as we mentioned, ve'elu nisrofin, lefichach, but mamonim avod, all the possessions of that city are burned. And their children, their grandchildren, whoever's, not living in that city, would not inherit anything for them. On to Mishnah Hey, hake take. The verse there, verse 16 there, says you shall strike and strike again, basically. So this includes something. The Mishnah says it includes a hameret v'hagamelet, a caravan of donkeys or a caravan of camels. Ha'overet mimakam l'makam. That's going from one place to another. It's a traveling caravan. But if they stay in that city for 30 days, they're considered part of that city, even if in the future they're going to, pull up the tents and go to a different city. Hare elu matzilinota. They could save that city. So if most of the city, the regular city people are, the permanent residents are doing idolatry, but there's 100 guys in this caravan of donkeys and camels who are not doing avodah zarah, and they've been there for over a month, they're considered as if they're residents of the town, and they would save the town, meaning they would make it not a majority doing avodah zarah. We wouldn't burn the whole possessions of the town. The Gehati points out that the converse is true if a almost majority of the permanent residents is doing avodah zarah, and then if you added on this caravan, if most of them are doing avodah zarah, they could actually condemn the city to be burned and to be irani dachat. The Mishnah adds hacharem ota vet kol asher ba. The pasuk there says destroy it and everything in it. Mikan Amro, from here our sages said, Nichseit tzadikim shebetocha ovdim. Even the property of the righteous people, the people who are not doing idolatry, is lost. We burn the whole city down. Shebechutzula platin, but property belonging to the righteous people, the non-guilty, in other places, that is not touched. V'shel rishayim, but the property of those who actually did idolatry, bein shebetocha, whether it's in the city itself, bein shechutzula, or it's somewhere else, Hare Elu Ovdin, it would be burned. And it's worth mentioning, our sages say elsewhere, the midah of goodness, the power of goodness, is thousands of times greater than the power of evil. So if we see there's a concept where Jews can corrupt other Jews, then of course, we have the power to help other Jews as well. We should all be zocheh to do so. Tizkulu mitzvot.